As the 1960s decade came to a close, American muscle cars were reaching their pinnacle in popularity. During this time, some of the golden era's greatest muscle cars were produced. No greater example of this was the 1970 to 1971 Ford Torino Cobra 429. It was an ultra-serious muscle car with enough untamed energy under the hood to launch the Torino into space, or at least it seemed that way. The Torino Cobra 429 was a no-compromise muscle car, the kind of car that instantly became a legend and remains even more so today. The 1970 to 1971 Ford Torino Cobra 429 was not just a car with a high-performance engine, but much more. It had a sleek, very attractive exterior, with one of the sleekest fastback rooflines to ever see production in a mid-size muscle car. When equipped with the optional 15-inch Magnum 500 wheels, the Torino Cobra's persona was even cooler. The interior was futuristic and extremely sporty when equipped with options such as bucket seats and a center console. In other words, the 1970 to 1971 Torino Cobra had it all. The Torino Cobra was still a no-frills muscle car. To keep its weight and cost down, such items as the Torino's optional hidden headlamps were not available on the Cobra. For its day, its handling and braking were as good as you were going to find in a muscle car, especially when the optional competition suspension was ordered. Though there were different 1970 to 1971 Torino models and trim levels, the Cobra model was the best of the best performance Torinos. The Torino Cobra was standard in 1970 with Ford's new 429 cubic inch 385 series big block V8 engine in 3 different iterations. First was the 360 gross horsepower 429 Thunderjet. Next was the 370 gross horsepower 429 Cobra Jet. And last but not least was the 375 gross horsepower 429 Super Cobra Jet. These numbers were Ford's official factory horsepower ratings, and on the surface, it seemed the difference between the lowest output and highest output 429 engines was just a mere 15 gross horsepower. However, the reality was the gap was at least 65 gross horsepower. In the real world, the 429 Thunderjet produced its advertised 360 gross horsepower, where the 429 Super Cobra Jet produced at least 425 gross horsepower, and the 429 Cobra Jet was somewhere in the middle, producing at least 400 gross horsepower. For 1971, the 429 Thunderjet was replaced with a 285 gross horsepower 351 cubic inch small block V8. It was referred to as the 351 Cobra Jet and could be equipped with the optional shaker hood scoop. Additionally, for 1971, the optional 429 Cobra Jet and 429 Super Cobra Jet carried over unchanged from 1970. It did not matter which 429 one chose. Any of these 3 turned the Torino Cobra into a super fast muscle car. However, it was the 429 Super Cobra Jet which made the 1970 to 1971 Torino Cobra one of Ford's fastest accelerating muscle cars of the golden era. Superstock and Drag Illustrated magazine, March 1970 issue, obtained a quarter-mile time of 13.63 seconds at 105.9 miles per hour with a factory stock 1970 Torino Cobra equipped with the 429 Super Cobra Jet. This was the absolute pinnacle of Ford's muscle car performance during the golden era. It would also be the last of the ultra-powerful Torinos. Additionally, the Torino Cobra could be equipped with an optional ram air induction shaker hood scoop, which further enhanced the Cobra's cool factor and provided a few extra horsepower by allowing the thirsty carburetor additional cool air. Another must-have Torino Cobra option was the flat black rear window louvers. For 1970, in the U.S. Midwest region, some Ford dealers offered a low-production special edition of the Torino Cobra, which was called the Torino Cobra Twister. Starting in 1972, the top performance Torino model was the Grand Torino Sport, and its top performance engine was now the 248 horsepower 351 cubic inch small block V8, which was referred to as the 351 Cobra Jet. Though the 1972 Gran Torino Sport, equipped with the 351 Cobra Jet, was a fantastic, well-rounded muscle car, it lacked the massive amount of raw power the 429 trio of V8s gave its predecessor. Ford still offered the 429 V8 as an option in the 1972 Gran Torino Sport, but it produced only 205 horsepower. It should also be noted that in 1972, all automakers, including Ford for the U.S. market, converted to the more stringent net horsepower rating system versus the previous, more generous gross horsepower rating system, thus causing a substantial horsepower drop across the board for the 1972 model year. Another factor in this drop was lower engine compression ratios for 1972 due to a new government mandate requiring the use of unleaded fuel in all gasoline-powered vehicles starting in 1972. Nevertheless, the 1970 to 1971 Torino Cobra was the pinnacle that golden era muscle cars wanted to reach. Most of them fell short. It was the ultimate in untamed energy, especially the 429 Super Cobra Jet powered Torino Cobra. Indeed, the 1970 to 1971 Torino Cobra 429 was one of the best muscle cars of the golden era. Thank you so much for your support of this channel. Please subscribe since your support is the reason this channel is a success. And please make sure to click on the bell icon so that you never miss a new video release.